From officer safety to critical decision-making, de-escalation, and trauma-informed policing, ILEETA supports officers around the world with critical training.
There are pockets of excellence all over the world, and trainers doing what trainers do, raising the bar in their space. ILEETA exists to be the evolution space for them, because while they think they are doing everything they can, then they come to ILEETA and they meet someone who's dealt with the same thing, or you find that synergy, and then things start to click.
That's Joe Willis, Deputy Director at ILEETA, the International Law Enforcement Educators and Trainers Association. Joe and ILEETA Executive Director Ray Merlin joined Da Vinci's Angeline Evans and me to talk about how they train law enforcement professionals. Next on Powered by Learning.
Powered by Learning is brought to you by Da Vinci Interactive. Da Vinci's approach to learning is grounded in 30 years of innovation and expertise. We use proven strategies and leading technology to develop solutions that empower learners to improve quality and boost performance. Learn more at davinci.com.
Joining me now are Da Vinci Client Solutions Consultant Angeline Evans and our guests, Ray Merlin, Executive Director of the International Law Enforcement Educators and Trainers Association, or ILEETA, and Joe Willis, Deputy Director. Welcome, Ray and Joe.
Hi, Ray and Joe. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, Ray and Joe, start us off by giving us a little bit about your backgrounds in law enforcement training. Ray, let's start with you.
Well, thanks. As far as my background, I am retired from the Kenosha Sheriff's Department. Spent a little over 28 years with the Sheriff's Department. Pretty much trained across everything as far as firearms, DT, professional communications, you name it, across the board. Also, as that went on, I also worked at Gateway. Still work at Gateway Technical College, and same thing. Help out with training, recruits, jail, associate degree program, everything across there. And then as far as then coming into ILEETA, been a member since almost the beginning. And that's where Ed Nowicki had ILEETA, Harvey, and then he asked us to take it over, 2 years ago, almost, Joe? And that's kind of the kind of rundown really quick. Again, we're blessed and honored to be part of this moving forward with ILEETA.
That's great. What about you, Joe?
Like Grace said, just truly blessed and honored to be a part of this group and this association. So I'm a retired military police first sergeant, did about 21 years in the Army as a military policeman, and then got out and went into the contract training space. I did work initially with law enforcement specifically, but then tried my hand in some corporate training space as well. And it really led me to some really good post-Army career adventures as far as getting back in with the Department of Defense, doing a lot of distance learning and that sort of thing, which I think will be part of the fun conversation we have today, because I know that's your specialty there. And so very excited about that. Now at this point, after spending a few years out of the active duty space, I'm just really enjoying the contracting work and helping here at ILEETA.
Wonderful. Thank you both. So for our listeners who might not be familiar with what ILEETA is, can you just describe the role ILEETA plays in the law enforcement training community and give us a rundown?
The mission of ILEETA is to inspire excellence in the law enforcement training space. And that entails a lot of different things. What we like to tell people, and Ray kind of coined this phrase, that we are a community that just happens to have an outstanding conference. And so while we're focused on a year-round relevance and elevating training in law enforcement, we do get trainers together once a year to really kind of come together as a tribe of trainers in a community. And so while we touch on every aspect of law enforcement training in one way or another, it is truly about elevating the level of instructorship. And that is a variety of things, as we could talk about on here, but that's ultimately the end of the mission there. It's just inspire excellence in law enforcement training. And we do that through our network of member trainers.
Yeah. And just to add on that, and when we talk about law enforcement training, it's not just the patrol officer. We're talking about correctional officer, federal officer, military officer, dispatch, you name it, across the board. So bringing that whole community together, because a lot of it is a crossover and you can all learn from each other.
I love hearing this angle that you're looking to inspire excellence, especially in the instruction and not just the content areas and the topics you're focusing on, although those are obviously very important. It's good to have them presented in a way that folks can retain. So there's so much agencies are navigating right now, from officer safety to de-escalation we're seeing a lot of, and critical decision-making. What are you seeing the most pressure for as far as topics and needs?
I would say yes, everything you said.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those things, no matter what you watch here or what's going on. But I think what you're seeing across all that is just how to better train. What are we doing? Improving those type of things there. But to say there's one topic saying, hey, this is the one, I honestly, I would say I don't think there's just that one, because again, we cross over a lot of different things, and just bringing it to light on the different levels of what you need to do. And again, is, improving future performance. So, okay, got this here. So it might be those little things. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to be the member on the team who really kind of manages the instructor cycle as far as scheduling and that kind of stuff. And, we all have our roles here, and that's the one area that I get to touch most often. And like Ray said, it is everything. And what's really cool about the instructional space for law enforcement is the passion that abounds in the SWAT community is unique to it, but equally the same passion exists in forensics, in firearms, in driver's training. And so as we look to elevate one, we're essentially elevating all. Good adult learning is good adult learning. And the development for training, whether you're doing that in the synthetic training environment or the live training environment, learning is still the same. And that's really what we work to kind of touch in all those spaces.
I can definitely appreciate that. We've been serving the law enforcement audience at Da Vinci for almost 15 years. And I remember when I started about 13 years ago, I'm obviously not in law enforcement, but I would partner with folks like you to develop curriculum. And we were writing, human trafficking to tactical medicine to trauma-informed interviews. And the topics really do span the gamut. I would say the trends that we see at Da Vinci from this audience and where they might be sourcing a vendor to support is a lot in de-escalation tactics, because obviously that's something that's woven throughout everything at this point. But it's really great to have your perspective on that.
I think it's interesting, too, that in this association, it sounds like your main focus really is learning and development. A lot of associations are more about the camaraderie or certification, but it seems like your North Star is the education and the training. Is that right?
Yeah, and I would say that is what really bonds the tribe together, right? So Lieutenant Keanu Martinez from Omaha coined that phrase, so I'm going to give him all the credit he's due. But ILEETA is a tribe of trainers really working to elevate one another. And so without a doubt, it is about that, instructor development. But I think you hit the nail on the head. There will be pendulum swings. When it was wellness, ILEETA was there. As de-escalation, ILEETA is there. And as we look towards 2030, I think the trends we're seeing are, how do we get after real-time intel? How do we get after, responding to coordinated attacks or the drone threat, the things that exist that some of our members are so passionate about and other members don't even know exist. And that's really one of the things that elevates ILEETA. There were people talking about wellness before it became a buzzword about half a decade ago, right? Maybe a little bit more. De-escalation, as it becomes the trend, there are people who've been working on that for decades. Let's come to ILEETA and develop as instructors and learn from them. I love it. That's one of the best parts of it.
And the whole thing you're going to see at the conference though too is, like you said, that camaraderie, but it's that energy rejuvenating, because you have those you have trainers from all over the country and all over the world. Okay, it's that task. Well, they come here and take that energy in, learn from those things they might not see. Because again, sometimes we get super focused on what we're doing, but then leave there like ready and recharged. And then same thing, have that connection, because what we're having the issue here with, they might be having an issue in Germany with already. Hey, let's share that information. So you're going to see, it is about that camaraderie, but it is about learning from each other and giving back to each other.
Absolutely. So I'm super curious then, as far as, a community of trainers and you're training that same audience, like that's your niche. What do you find is the best modality that sticks? Like we hear, and for both instructor-led training where you're doing it in person and it might be hands-on versus something that's asynchronous or online. We often hear that scenario-based training, something that's really, as one-to-one as possible with reality is what's going to stick the most. But like, what are you using and what are you seeing be successful?
I'll jump in first on this one, and then Ray, if you don't mind expanding on it. So what we find is a good assortment of mixed approaches and people who are well versed in each of them. There is, for instance, I just did an interview the other day with Josh Lahani. He's doing a presentation on Beyond the Branches. VR, flat screen simulators, doesn't matter, what it is we're operating on. are a tremendous resource. And what industry has done, your folks included, right? Like what's happening at DaVinci, you're elevating all of the ability to reach these through distance learning. They can only go so far. And then you've got to put an instructor in the classroom. And so what we find works best is when it's designed with intentionality that sets up for the pre-learning and the post-learning in these VR AI driven, VR AR, I'm sorry, but still AI connected as well as we get there. All of these things.
What isn't connected to that right now?
Valid, right? Yeah. And so that's kind of where we're at on that is when we see the best things come together, it's people who are intentional about design and willing to include both the real and synthetic learning environments equally, because neither one are going anywhere and good instructors do both.
Yes.
Well said.
And I think it's, just the cap on it. Joe hit on a lot of it already, but it's the same thing. Where are we at in our training? Is it a new recruit? Is it a in-service training? Like you're dealing with colleges, with departments. Is it the first time they're using some? Okay, it might not be this, or it might be that online learning. Now let's bring them in. So there's a seat at the table for everybody. If everybody's saying this is the only thing we're ever going to use, then no, that's not true, because we got to be able to build on it. Because so somebody doing that online, then coming there. So again, it could be a new recruit, a little bit faster, but that officer in for in-service training, okay, you can build it on there a little more too.
Absolutely. Blended learning really does shine. And something we've also been adding and just seeing more requests for is mobile refreshers after you have the asynchronous and then the in-person. And maybe it's just like a quick, hey, before you do an interview, these are the steps to remember, or a legal update that maybe you need to refresh on that, isn't going to always be top of mind if you only heard it once, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I often ask people, have you ever done this task, whether it's, fix your faucet or whatever, and you're about to do it again? What's the first thing most people do is they jump on YouTube for their quick refresher. I think just-in-time training and those well-designed learning paths that are intended for that forgetting curve, right? And as we start to drop in our recall and get that little bump, and I think great trainers, great leaders are working together to make this possible. Agencies are truly starting to try to embrace how best to plug those things in. So yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I have a question. How does ILEETA either help drive or complement what law enforcement agencies are doing across the country? I mean, you're not their only source of training, obviously, but how do you play a role in kind of the ongoing education of officers across the country?
Joe, I saw you do this, so if you want to go first.
Well, I was pointing at you, saying you got to. I mean, either one of us can answer that question, and it's kind of a fun one to answer. I don't know which one you'll like more, so I say we both go after. One of the things that I'm doing, from internally, one of the projects that we're working on is trying to get after some webinars. And so we've got this 5-part series going on tactical nervous system training with Dr. Melise Balvin and PhD candidate Patrick Scott Welsh. It's amazing what they've come up with. Well, we've also got legal reviews doing the same thing with that audience. So we're really getting after trying to plug in some of those ongoing learning throughout the year. But without a doubt, the conference kind of becomes that hub of good information transfer and community building. So over to you, Ray, because I was kind of curious what your answer was.
Oh, my answer almost kind of, you have, again, this is, I'm glad Joe's here, the team effort, because he can articulate way better than I can. But when you ask, okay, as far as the trainer wise, you're going to come there, your people are going to see what you're doing, and they're going to give you really honest feedback on that. Now, everybody coming to the conference, and whether it's expo or if they're using the product in class, is going to, like I said, that good feedback. But then also you're going to, well, how do you use it? And sharing each other's on how we're doing it. And we're talking the trainers, the boots on the ground, all the way to up to now chiefs who were trainers are coming here, and they're going to say, okay, how do we do this? And it is that interaction with each other, and then seeing what's working best everywhere. And what you're really going to find out, though, too, is not just at the conference itself, but as we get questions all the time of, hey, does somebody have this going on? We network with the people and put them in touch with the right people. But you're going to get that honest feedback. If they have something that thinks that's not working for the training world, they're going to let you know about it too. So that's how we really just help network that. And what's nice about it is our members, Joe and I, we're experts in some things, but we're knowledgeable in a lot of things. So when people come to ILEETA and say, hey, we're looking for this, We're going to get in the best direction, say, hey, you want to talk to this person here. And I think that's one of the best benefits that are out there is that whole thing.
And Susan, you also mentioned, they go to other places to get their resources. One of my favorite parts of being a leader at ILEETA is the relationship we have with those other associations. The ILEETA, the International Association of Law Enforcement Firearms Instructors, or the Tactical Officer Associations. The experts exist in the field. ILEETA becomes the hub for better training and really tries to elevate that. And it's so cool to watch them come together, the folks from the TOAs getting together with the forensics people. And it's, just different versions of nerdiness. And I love watching it.
And yeah, Joe, you hit on it, because what we have found is doing this where it's not specific to a philosophy is how many of these instructors cross over. That tactical officer is also a firearms instructor, a communication instructor, the forensics, the same thing, because most of the time they've started a department at a level. The field training officers is huge, because almost every trainer, that's probably the first thing they did is they were FTO. So, I mean, that's it. So that whole thing about that knowledge and just the perspectives is great.
I'm really amped up that Da Vinci's attending this year. I'm super excited.
I'm excited. So I'll be attending the conference this year with our colleague, Jennifer Kerwin. So we're looking forward to learning more about this. And Angeline, like you mentioned, hopefully you get a chance to attend in future years. But it's just interesting. Like, the education just doesn't happen at this conference. It sounds like it's year round. Like, kind of what's the year round role of ILEETA, would you say, in the life of a law enforcement person?
With ILEETA, or just in general, what we're working on? I mean, we got a lot of stuff we're working on for.
Yeah, I guess this is related to education and training.
Well, a lot. I mean, again, Joe, you add in here, but we're working on a lot of little projects, like Joe said, from the training aspect of training needs, but then also working with different places if they're looking for some, instructor development templates, you name it, just all the things. Then, as you said, with the shorts, those little tidbits, like you said, that officers can kind of watch real quick when they're on the road. So as far as, we have a lot of little projects, and the same things, that engagement, but then that source of information, the learning lab. Somebody's also looking for some, go back there, or that article from the journal, having all these resources available to officers year round. Because like I said, you don't remember everything, but man, I remember this from whether it's a conference or journal before, so be able to go back. Joe, what do you want to add to that?
No, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it is all of those little things that we enjoy doing so much that honestly throughout the year we kind of almost forget that we're doing. But the ILEETA live show, the journal, the webinars, those sorts of things that we're really grateful to be able to provide. I
think, and one of the things, and we never forget where our legacies from, Ed Nowicki, Harvey, you name it. But as we move forward, though, the hub is the association. Hey, what about this? How about trying this? And the big thing, if we can do it, we're gonna. And if it's good for association, we're gonna do it in the training world. Because like I said, we always say, if we don't try it, we don't know. So we're always working on those initiatives. People bring them forward, and we get the association involved. Good idea. Now help us do it. How do we make it happen? It's really huge.
So that goes on to what I was going to ask you, is how do you decide your initiatives for the year? Do you survey your community, or what sort of metrics do you gather?
Yeah, a little bit of all the above. So a big part of it is our membership providing feedback post-conference as to how it's evolving, right? But we also have panels, for instance, where this dialogue occurs organically. And as that happens, we're taking notes. Our advisory board's taking notes, our team's taking notes, and we all kind of provide input on that. The other thing is the industry will tell us through both good and bad news reports, research done by organizations like Caliber Press and Police One and that sort of thing that we draw on for what folks are looking for, plus our own internal needs assessment work that we do. So it's an ongoing, continuous evolution. And I think the cool thing about working in the law enforcement training space is this field is evolving at just such an incredible rate, trying to keep up with it. And, 1 minute we're having a conversation with, real-time intel and crime center folks and what they're dealing with. But then on the other end of it is, what's actually happening on the street as far as how our breaches being barricaded better, like what's evolving in that space, or real-time intel from the criminal side of how are they using electronics to better surveil us in our efforts. I mean, there's so much evolving that just being able to plug into those and try to pull them together is what we do. And it's a continuous thing.
Yeah, and Joe, I think the other thing you talked about earlier too is we working with the other associations. We meet with these guys. Hey, what's going on here? And like I said, for us, it's never a competition. It's how do we better practice with each other? How do we support each other? So that's where we get some of this, and that's how we work forward on doing it.
Yeah, you're a community beyond your community at ILEETA for sure.
Right.
So how long have you been doing this conference and what's new this year?
Conference itself, what are we going on our 23rd year?
This will be the
Wow.
24th year, 23rd year this year.
23rd.
And then 28 is our 25th anniversary.
Yes. So as far as what's new, you're just gonna have to find out when you get there.
It'll all be new to me.
It'll all be new to you.
That is one of the big questions we got when we took over, a couple years ago now. The first conference was, hey, what's going to change? What's going to change? And we never look at it as changing. It's what are we evolving? Okay, the whole thing, our foundation is there, and this is okay. This is we're going to evolve into this a little more, like you said, the conversations we're having. All right, now we're going to evolve over here. So those things there is, and again, we're not going to try to just change because, like I said, the expo. Great there to communicate, see what's out there, what we can use. And what's really good about our community is as you get to know some of the instructors, the whole thing, then hopefully then maybe your product they'll use the next year in their class. We always say it can't be an infomercial, but this is how we improve training in the future and how it can evolve. So yeah, I don't want to say anything new. We have new the events going on a little bit like that, but we're always evolving to meet the needs and what the association wants.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ray, as far as the evening events, right? So, Susan, you mentioned early on about the community and that sort of thing and trying to build that, but we focus mostly on education. So what we did was, I say we, this really, I wasn't involved in this part. This was mostly Ray and Jill and our sponsors, but kind of turned the dial on how do we do those evening events to be a little bit more inclusive of different, styles. Some folks like this type of environment, others like that. And so how do we do that? On the training and education side, it was largely about how do we get the right amount of people in each classroom. And so, for instance, we evolved our defensive tactics this year, where last year we only did an open mat. Well, we turned that open mat into a panel discussion as well. I mean, there's tons of defensive tactics classes going on, but what we did with that open mat, just little dial turns like that. And I think that's really, what we keep going back to is small rudder steers. And, if it's good for the members and we can afford to do it, that's an old Ed Nowicki mantra there. That's what we're going to do. And we keep looking for what's good for the members.
Then going back to the event that was started by, Brian Willis, but brought back the Emerson Hour, what have we learned since what have we learned since we last met? Right?
Yeah. What's become clearer since we last met?
So,
yep.
So Stan, that's Susan, if you're there, hopefully you can make that for the Monday night because it's one of those empowering type things. And Joe, I'm going to let you explain it a little better because, hey, he does a much better job and he was in charge of it after Brian. So go ahead, Joe.
I mean, so the short version is Emerson Hour was started in 2013 by Brian Willis in response to a need to elevate the experience of ILEETA. And so he wanted to set up something similar to a TED Talk style event that was specifically law enforcement related. And he used Ralph Waldo Emerson's question as that backdrop. What's become clearer to you since we last met? The rules of the event have not changed one bit since I took it over in 2019 and Todd Fletcher took it over from me in 2024, I think it was. Either way, I miss it. I'm glad Todd's running it now, but the rules all remain the same, which is 6 speakers get 9 minutes to answer that question. No one knows who the speakers are, not even the other speakers. And so Todd is the master of ceremonies, and he will say, our next speaker is, and that person will present themselves and answer that question. And I will tell you, Susan, I seriously hope you can make it to that event because you will laugh, you'll cry, you'll be frustrated. It is a true emotional experience, and it's absolutely amazing to watch them do it. And super thankful. I hope you don't mind that we throw out the thanks to Warriors Heart for making that possible. I mean, it's a great event.
No. In fact, it's on our schedule. We're going to have dinner early that night so that we can be at the Emerson Hour. It sounds wonderful. And I thought, what a great way to get immersed right into the event than to attend that. So thanks for the explanation.
Do you record it?
It is recorded.
I would love to see it since I won't be there. Yeah.
Well, we'll send you the previous ones. They are all available on our website, and through our YouTube. But yes, this year's will be recorded just the same, and that's one of the other things Todd did. I love, this old thing about, the leaders, only so good. And then when they leave, somebody else takes over. And I thought that, I was doing well with that program. What Todd's done to just, once again, turn the dials, those little evolutions. And so the video quality has significantly increased since he took over, just the production value of it. So really, really excited about what he's doing there.
Joe, I just want to throw out with Warriors Heart, with them being the sponsor of it, can't say enough. But even, yes, why ILEETA, and, same thing, Warriors Heart's been a sponsor for us. But, even last year, they made a few connections there and helped save a few people. And I think that is a lot about why it's important. It's not just about the expo, it's about the people, and those people reached out to them. So, and I can't say we're blessed enough that connection was made there, because that's what they do. And if we had members out there that really needed that support, they got it. And there's a lot of them out there, first help. I just can't, there's a lot of them out there. We're glad they're able to get the information they need.
That's wonderful. Well, it sounds like you're raising the bar every year at this conference, and so we look to attend each one. All right, next I just want to ask one conceptual question. I'm just looking for your opinion and your perspective in the industry. So where do you see the biggest opportunity to raise the bar when it comes to law enforcement training? Your growth opportunity?
I know you think they use raise the bar, but I don't know if it's like so much raise the bar compared to just keep
being relevant.
Being relevant. Yeah, the whole
That's
thing
fair.
Because, we're never trying to one up, but again, we got to learn. There's certain times that, okay, this is working, but you know what? Just because it was done 20 years ago, 5 years ago, and it's like, oh man, now we have it. So it's not raising the bar, it's evolving for us. So in what area? I meant all of them. If we're not every day, every time we train, trying to improve what we did or get the feedback on it, then we're not doing justice in the training world. Then that's why I guess I want to leave that. That's what's raising the bar, but evolving and just keeping going and keeping it professional. Joel?
I like that continuous evolution, because here's what I think, but Ray, you'd probably agree with me. You've come to learn the same thing, is that there are pockets of excellence all over the world, and trainers doing what trainers do, raising the bar in their space. ILEETA exists to be the evolution space for them, because while they think they are doing everything they can, then they come to ILEETA and they meet someone who's dealt with the same thing, or you find that synergy, and then things start to click. And so, while yes, everything Ray said, and I'm not going to repeat any of it, what I will say, what I'm really enjoying, and I think, Ray, you've probably seen the same thing, is connecting the dots on what is next. Where do we go and how do we get there? Because that's where keeping your finger on the pulse of what all of these other associations are doing really well to raise education levels. The work being done by Ohio State University on first responder head injuries, great example of that. We didn't do that. Our job is to bring that into ILEETA and have that conversation. And so where do I see us going conceptually in the future? A lot more of that connecting the dots and finding where those lulls, the weak spots, the low spots in connectivity are, and making that happen.
And always being agile, I would think, because things are changing all the time.
Well, yeah, you know what? And we didn't really hit on that, but that is one thing when you get to ILEETA, what you will be, I hope you're impressed with, is just so great, is they always say, hey, leave the egos at the door. We have Joe, 120 some different, classes, how many instructors we got coming. And one day that person will be teaching. The next day they'll be sitting in the class next to you watching somebody else teach. And the whole thing, they're giving that feedback, learning from you. And we're talking from ones that are just, brand new to the training world, because we want to mentor. What a better place to learn, but other people who teach it for 20 years. So the ego's at the door. It's not about me. It's about us, the tribe. And that's where it's so exciting when you get there and you'll see.
Well, if the other instructors are half as passionate and thoughtful as the two of you, I'm sure it's going to be a really powerful conference.
Well, they give us a run for our money. That's the other thing. So ILEETA, one of my favorite parts of it is we say it's a battery charging event, but at the same time, it's this really cool experience. Many of us look forward to it. We've referred to it many years as this place we go to recharge our batteries and, kind of find our tribe again. But by Thursday, we are exhausted because it is this battery charging thing, but at the same time, keeping up with all of the conversations, and everybody's there to raise everyone else. It is definitely a community in that way. And so by the end of it, it is a little exhausting trying to keep up with the conversations and that sort of thing, especially for an introvert like myself.
Yeah.
Right.
It probably means that you've done a good job if you're both wiped out the day after it's over. So.
Right.
Well, and this is, and we are, the same thing. It's just the association and especially conference driven by volunteers. We could not do it with.
Right.
I mean, obviously, our vendors, our supporters, but everything, and we get it. Hey, how can we help? How can we help? So if you're there on Sunday, from getting the swag set up, I mean, we got everybody there that just comes in and helps, along with recruits from St. Louis. But it's just that whole community that the passion that they know. And then they're bringing new people. Hey, I got this new person coming, and that's what it is. And then Susan, I think I told you when we talked that first time, you're going to come here and you're going to say, yeah, I want to be back next year. And that whole thing. We want to be part of the journal. And that is one of the big things for us also is when people ask, why ILEETA? Why come to ILEETA? Or your boss, why should I go to ILEETA? And again, a lot of great conferences out there, but we'll say this is about trainers. We are trainers. Okay. And then for the trainers, but it's not. And again, it's one of those things, you're going to classes. You're going and learning. We'll have the events just because of the connections and being able to share of what you learned today and all the different things there. But it is about that. It's not, again, I'm not knocking, but there's no golf tournaments. Okay. We want people there and go to class. And we're very proud this year too of working on a lot of post certifications for officers. And we're going to evolve that in the future also, so you can get those credits in the states that need it. So again, that's what I can't say. When a boss say, why there? Because this is what I can bring back to our trainers here and share.
Yeah, we are so excited to be a sponsor and a vendor at the conference and get to know you two and the rest of the community that much better.
Yes. Yeah, thank you both so much for joining. This has been such a wonderful conversation, and I'm so glad I had a chance to learn more about ILEETA.
Well, thank you for having us. I can't wait to have the conversation after the conference, because then you're going to say, yeah. And then
we won't bother you on Thursday. We'll give you a couple of days after.
Right.
Thank you both.
Well, I would add this, though, as we get ready to close out here. One of the things I definitely want to express is sincere gratitude to DaVinci and just being part of our community now, as far as the sponsorship that you've given, the corporate sponsorship, being a vendor at our show, being part of the conversation. So as we look towards the future and what we see conceptually, going back to that question, is there's a relationship that exists between the industry experts and the trainers that I think ILEETA has really enjoyed being the buckle of for a while. And I want you to experience that at our conference, but equally to anyone who sees this, who is going to attend the conference, get involved in the conversations with Susan at DaVinci and the other vendors who are in the expo hall, our other corporate sponsors, because not only do they make this possible, and again, thank you, DaVinci, for being a part of that, but they're the connection to the tech that supports our end of the industry. So get involved in the conversation, and thank you for being there to be a part of it.
My thanks to DaVinci's Angeline Evans and our guests, Ray Merlin and Joe Willis from ILEETA. If you have a suggestion for a topic or you'd like to be a guest, please reach out to us at poweredbylearning@davinci.com. And don't forget that you can subscribe to Powered by Learning wherever you listen to your podcasts.